Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast. I am your regular host, LeTara, back with Eric again, 2 weeks in a row.
I am so stoked to be here. In fact, I had to get a little creative here, and I made myself a little martini. So here we go. Let's see. Look at that.
I love it. I made myself.
Ooh,
right. You have to tell me what's in it.
I played around with a little bit of a recipe here. It's more Grey Goose than anything else, and I felt it was fitting considering the birds that we'll be talking about later. And a couple like triple sec, and just a little bit of like cranberry apple, so make a little appley. So yeah.
I made myself an extremely boozy. I'm gonna call it a margatimi. It's not a martini, and it's not a margarita. Cheers.
Yeah.
Woo! It is boozy, that thing.
Yeah, I think Tabitha was very impressed or on the floor.
Oh, she would. This would knock her out for sure. This is my special potion. All right. So this week we are talking about episodes 381 through 385. Yes. I watched the right episodes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. This week, I really enjoyed the episodes. I feel like I say that a lot, but like, I also feel like when the week is bad, it's really bad. Like some weeks where I'm just like, this was a slog to get through.
Yeah, this was a good mixture of what makes passions. You got a little bit of I think we just skimped out a little bit on Channel Whitney, which I would have loved to see a little bit more. And then I always do love checking in on Dr. Russell, but she does make a pretty great cameo in here at some point. But yeah, I think a good mix is when you get a little bit of magic and a little bit of Teresa and Ethan. I think that's the storylines that when you get a good mix like that, I'm happy.
Yeah, when I get those two storylines, I'm happy. And especially when it's really like the magic storyline, not just like Charity's having bad feelings, when it's really like shit's happening. So let's talk about it. We're going to start with magic this week. Right. Because I was tickled pink by some of the things that happened in these episodes. So let's get started. I did not write summaries this week because it's been a crazy week, but I think it'll be okay. We'll jump right into the magic.
We'll figure it out.
So let's start where Timmy and Tabitha are like having martinis and enjoying their time together. They give each other, you and me, they give each other end of the year presents, which I think we talked about this last week, but they picked up that same place this week. And it was it was really sweet. They're having their drinks and they have their stuff. And then Hecuba enters and just like turns everything upside down. She comes in, she knocks over a table. Like this was different from last week.
Party foul. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I love when the three of them are together because it's just like heightened passions on X. But what I loved about this, it just was so funny, was the major party foul. I'm like, Hecuba knocked over a whole pitcher of martinis. That is not cool. You can kill whoever you want to, you can take anybody's soul, but don't drop the martinis. That's not cool.
Don't throw over the martinis, not the drinks. Hecuba, you can come for our souls, not our drinks.
Yeah. She doesn't know what she's missing.
She turns that entire table over, which was hilarious. Yeah. It was very Real Housewives of her. Like, I love a flipping table ass bitch. And she came in was flipping tables. And so she flips over the table. She tells Tabitha and Timmy, I'm gonna destroy everybody in Harmony, and I'm gonna save the two of you for last. You've had your chance to kill Charity, but you know what? I'm gonna save you for last. Then Tabitha's like, Hecuba, why don't we team up?
Which I know I love their relationship. When I jokingly said, last time that I was working on like a Passions musical just for fun. And really I was like, I want to figure out how to get these two back together because I thought those characters are so much fun. And I just thought it was so great. I wrote this down and I'm like, what was I saying? I just put Timmy's balls, but now I realized Timmy had some big balls. He went up to Hecuba and was like, I'm not scared. Or like, doesn't he confront her or something?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I was like, why would I write that? No, that's what it is. So I love when the three of them are together, and it was so good to see them interact. And of course, Hecuba was like, no, we're not working together.
Yeah, Hecuba was like,
In
no,
fact, she's doing all of this.
Yeah, you've had your chance. I'm gonna take your house from you. The friends in the basement are gonna throw you over for me. That, I guess that's Hecuba's whole plan. I am interested, and we'll get more into this. I am interested in what it is that is Hecuba's actual objective. But we'll talk about it in a minute. So let's talk about sweet, sad, soulless Kay. Kay's like standing out. My favorite thing about these episodes is that Kay was like standing out in the cold outside the cathedral, like shivering in the cold because she doesn't have a soul and she can't go inside the church. But my thing was, when I was a kid, my parents were not about to let me miss church. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they're not about to let me just stand outside.
Grace was rivaling Pilar's Catholicism. She was like, with the tarot cards, she was like, no, we shouldn't do that. I just can't imagine. You've seen how despondent Kay is. She's like not in the Christmas spirit. How would you not let her be at church? That's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, she showed up and stood outside. I feel like I would notice my kids standing outside the cathedral, shivering in the fucking cold, but no, they don't. And I really felt bad for Kay. She really loves Christmas, apparently. This is something we learned about Kay. She loves Christmas and she can't enjoy it this year. So Kay is all upset. Christmas morning comes around. The transitions this week were so awful. We went really from midnight mass to Christmas Day to New Year's Day.
Well, and that was what was so confusing. So it starts off with we did do the regifting of Tabitha and Timmy, and then what they did was it was actually a dream, and they dreaming it, but it didn't make any sense because Hecuba was there and she did tell them things. So they said we weren't dreaming, we're actually remembering. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna chalk it all up to a Martini hangover.
That was the dumbest thing. They actually did that with everybody in these episodes. That actually happened in everybody in these episodes. It was so stupid. Where we were at midnight mass for Christmas, and then everybody's just waking up and they're like, oh my goodness, I was just dreaming. So they just like did the recaps in their dreams, but they're like, but it wasn't a dream, it was actually real. Like, why do that? Why do that?
Yeah,
it was so dumb. But yeah, they do wake up from their dreams.
Kay as well.
Yeah. They do. Yep, they do that with Kay as well. Yeah, she wakes up and it's Christmas morning. That's how we got here. The transitions are all fucked up.
Yeah,
but that's how we got here. It's Christmas morning. Oh geez, the Christmas at the Bennett's home. I would not want to be there. Which is interesting. It's Christmas morning and everybody's there, including Miguel. Go to your house.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Well, when you said it the other day, I started laughing because I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of memories of Miguel with the rest of the Lopez Fitzgeralds. As soon as you pointed it out last time, I was like, yeah, he's at the Bennett house all the time. Let me tell you, my mom would have been like on my ass and been like, you need to be with the family. I don't know why you're over there. I understand she's your little girlfriend, pero no, you need to come home.
My mom would have been like, I wouldn't want somebody else's kid over at my house all the damn time. And I'm sure they don't want you at their house all the damn time. Come home. That's what she wouldn't even care that I'm not spending time with her. She's just like embarrassed that I'm spending all my time with somebody else's family.
Yeah.
She would just be like, that's embarrassing. Come home.
Yeah.
But they're going to think I treat you bad. That's what she would say.
Yeah.
But, and we know Pilar doesn't treat her kids bad. She's just neglectful. She just neglects them.
Just Paloma, who's, in Mexico somewhere
with Aunt Maria living it up. I guess. Anyway, it's Christmas morning. Kay comes down. Everybody's like concerned about Kay. Charity keeps saying how she is worried that Kay is in danger. Grace is like, yeah, not Charity. Kay hasn't been in the Christmas spirit, and normally she's the first one down at 6 a.m. for us all to open presents and everything. Which, like, just because she doesn't have a soul, does that mean she can't open her Christmas presents?
Yeah, I guess. I guess they equate it to like the thing that gets you excited about the Christmas. I mean, like the Christmas season, or I don't know what the actual like math is on that, but yeah, they equated it to like she can't get any enjoyment anymore.
Just because the presents, even if the gift is like a gigapet, it's equated with Christmas. So it's got Christmas juice all over it, so she can't be excited about it. I don't understand.
I'm just I just wish there was a moment where she opened a gift and it was a gigapet. Because that's all she needs right now is to try and take care of a little
Listen,
Tamagotchi
listen,
gigapet.
Eric. I did not say gigapet by accident. I still have deep rooted resentment against my parents for not buying me a gigapet.
I got one later on. It was a little dinosaur. I remember that. I remember they also had like a Looney Tune one where you could raise like a Looney Tune. But I remember it years later finding it in a drawer. It just pooped all the time. It pooped so much.
I
That's all
wanted a
it did.
gigapet. Everybody after Christmas, everybody goes back to school. Everybody had a gigapet that year. I think it was like 1998. Everybody had a
Yeah.
gigapet that year, and I did not have a gigapet. And then like a year later, my parents bought me like an off-brand. It was like shaped like a shell, but it had a mermaid in it. It was supposed to be Little Mermaid, but it wasn't even the Little
Yeah.
Mermaid. It was like off-brand mermaid, not a gigapet, kilobyte pet.
Yeah.
And then like another year or two after that, when once gigapets were way out of style, they bought me something called a super gigapet, which was
Oh.
Rugrats themed,
Oh.
but it was too little too late.
What Rugrat were you raising?
I think you could choose any Rugrat. It was like a
Oh,
super,
okay.
again, it was a super gigapet. It had like a light on it
Oh,
and it like stood up. It was blue. I remember this. It was blue and
yeah.
yellow. Anyway, whatever. I'm way off topic. Kay didn't get a gigapet. Well, we don't know. She didn't open her gifts. So
Yeah.
so she comes downstairs because Hecuba has told her you're never going to enjoy Christmas until you get your soul back. And the only way you can get your
Yes.
soul back is to follow my instructions. Now, you've already gotten me Charity's hair. The next thing I need is some of Charity's fingernail clippings.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Which
So
also Hecuba got like a little costume change. I just wrote down Egyptian Hecuba. Like I don't know.
Cleopatra, Nefertiti, yes. And she's being like fanned by some shirtless guard.
Yeah.
I don't
I,
know, but okay,
I
I'm
was like,
down for it.
You know what, Hecuba, I gotta give you credit there because Tabitha, when she had her powers, never did anything cool like that. I mean, that's what I'd be using my powers for. I'd be changing it up all of 5 seconds.
Yeah, all she did was zap the tax rolls and bring Timmy to life.
Yeah, and then everything else got foiled. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kay comes downstairs and comes up with this scheme to get Charity's fingernails. She says, "Hey Charity, I just want to let you know I'm so sorry I didn't get you a Christmas gift. But actually I was thinking the gift that I could give you was a manicure and I can do it right now." It's like,
On Christmas
"Okay."
morning, because that's what I want to do on Christmas morning is have my cousin cut my nails.
And Charity's like, "Okay, yeah, that could be nice." So Kay
Jerry,
goes upstairs
yeah.
and gets her shit, comes back to give Charity her manicure, and she's about to cut her nails, and Charity looks at her hands and realizes that Kay's hands are like long monster hands, and she looks up at her face and she realizes she's a monster in her face, and she
Yeah.
jumps up out of her chair and runs across the room screaming, and she tells
I
Kay,
laughed
"Look in
out
the
loud.
mirror." I did too. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, I did.
hilarious. Hilarious. She tells Kay, because Kay's like, "What's wrong?" And Miguel is too, because Miguel's always around.
Yeah.
He's like, they're both like, "What is wrong?" And Charity says, "See for yourself, look in the mirror." And so Kay looks in the mirror and she can see that she's a monster too.
Yes.
And she doesn't know if at that moment, I think she thinks maybe Miguel can see it, but it's clear that Miguel doesn't.
Yeah.
She flies up the stairs.
Yeah.
And Miguel then just spends some time trying to calm Charity down because she is in like full blown hysterics.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
crying, her bawling her fucking eyes out. Oh, this thing of a girl. Oh,
Yeah.
she's so annoying. But
She
I
is
mean,
so
Kay's face was monstery, so
yeah, but I mean, like, that's a major reaction.
yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, I guess I would have the exact same reaction. More than
Yeah.
I would have an even bigger reaction if like I went out to the living room and I looked at Laura and she was just like a monster. Like I would not be
Mhm.
in this apartment building. I'd be burning it down.
Yeah.
Sincerely. There's demons in the apartment. Gotta burn it down. So Kay runs upstairs, says, Hecuba, what the fuck? What's up? Why do
Yeah.
I look like this? And Hecuba says, well, you don't look like it now. Look in the mirror. So she had changed back, and she never looked like that to anybody without powers.
Yeah.
But Hecuba explains to her that the reason Charity could see her like that was because she doesn't have a soul, and Charity's powers were just like extra strong in that moment, but she won't be able to see her
Yeah.
like that all the time. I don't know. I'm just
And I
telling you
guess
what as I'm saying it don't make sense. And I know everybody's like, LeTara, what are you saying? This doesn't make sense. I didn't write it.
yeah, but my understanding has always been with the mythology is that, you know, all Standish women have some sort of powers, like even Jessica probably has powers. They just either they recognize them or they don't really they have to really be in tune with their powers, like Faith was, like Charity is, and Grace has a little bit of them. They come from time to time. So I guess at that moment she was just maybe she was in her Christmas feels, and she was filled with Lord Jesus and
Jesus
was like,
himself.
yeah. And
I
she could feel
mean,
it.
that's basically the explanation they give, that she just in that moment her powers for whatever reason were stronger than they normally are. She was like tapped into her true
Yeah.
power for a little bit. Whatever. Hecuba says to Kay though, but I still need those fingernail clippings, so chop bitch.
Yeah.
Like I still need that, so you need to figure this out. So Kay then goes back downstairs and tries again, right? And Charity apologizes to Kay, saying, I'm sorry that I screamed. Like I don't know what she like said beyond that. She was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm so sorry I reacted that way, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but well, she did, and she also had said to Miguel at one point before Kay came back downstairs that when Kay was about to clip her fingernails, she just got the feeling that she shouldn't let Kay do that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
and
very
that's what made her
specific
look up.
feeling.
Yeah. And so when Kay comes back down, insistent upon giving her a manicure, Charity is very trepidatious about it. She's like, no, I don't think so. But Miguel's the one is like, what harm could it do? Because here's my thing about Miguel.
Go for it.
This girl is weird, okay?
Yeah.
And you can either be in it with her or you can leave. Stop trying to make her feel things that she doesn't feel, or just stop trying to invalidate how she feels. Like either that or get her some help.
It's such a soap opera trope where it's like, I don't believe you at all. Or like, even though you tell me this feeling 8 episodes, I'm sorry, I'm going to spend 7 of them telling you, let it go. It's okay. But Miguel does this throughout the entire series. Yeah. Like at least Luis will understand Sheridan. At least like the others kind of listen. Miguel never listens to Charity.
No. And it's crazy because at this point, Miguel remembers her choking him. He remembers when she turned evil in the mine shaft. He remembers meeting Hecuba. He remembers all of that. He just has been convinced that it was just an illusion, that it was all like a dream. But he saw all of that. Yeah. So I don't know, whatever. Miguel is, and he was like convinced that it was real.
Yeah.
But whatever. He's a himbo. He's the himbo we all know and loathe. So Kay insists on giving her this manicure. She doesn't want it, but Miguel pushes her to get the manicure. Yeah. And let me just tell y'all, a manicure this was not. Kay clipped this girl's fingernails. That's it. I think she might have clipped 2 nails.
Yeah. And she's like, all right, I'm good. That was great. Merry Christmas.
She clipped her fingernails, and then it starts to thunder outside. And then she takes them immediately upstairs and gives them to Hecuba, and they like explode in Hecuba's hands.
Yeah.
And then the darkest clouds you've ever seen descend upon Harmony. And Charity rightfully is very discomforted by this. Like, she's like, Miguel, it was bright outside a minute ago. Like, it was sunny out. And now it's nearly pitch black. You don't feel uncomfortable. That doesn't make you feel weird. Like, you don't feel like something bad is about to happen. Like, that doesn't seem ominous to you at all.
Yeah. No, and Miguel's like, it's all good.
Yeah. He's just like, it just happens sometimes. Sometimes these things happen. No, they don't. They don't. But whatever. So Kay gives Hecuba the nails. The skies go dark. Then everybody shows up to the Bennett's home. The Russells show up to the Bennett home because they're having a New Year's Eve party. Okay. It's New Year's Eve all of a sudden. That's how I went at the moment in my notes where I was like, it's New Year's Eve? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Because we were just
like they were blowing up balloons, and there were lots of balloons. I was like, you don't really blow up balloons. And it was like black, red.
Yeah, weird colors. Very weird colors. Those were like,
it was like the color of my like thing.
Yes, that was the theme.
I was like, that's not very Christmassy. Because last I checked, it was Christmas Day. And I was like, well, maybe they're having like a late Christmas party. Like, I don't know. No, it was a New Year's Eve party. It's New Year's Eve, y'all.
They time jumped. They were like, we're going to spend 38 days on one episode, and now we got to go. It's like,
let's do the time warp again. Yeah, got to do the time warp again.
Yeah.
Then the pelvic thrust. That's like my favorite part.
Make you go and say, yeah.
Let's do the time warp again. So yeah, they do a time warp, and we are on New Year's Day. I'm saying right now I'm gonna let it go, but I'm not gonna let it go. I'm just saying that. But
because it's gonna confuse us the whole.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go to the next storyline, and I'm gonna be like, oh right, it was Christmas Day, and now it is New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. So just so y'all know, and like they're all still wearing the same clothes. That's the part that killed me.
Very confusing. Yeah,
that's what killed me. They're in their fucking funeral clothes.
Yes, yeah.
They're like Luis is in his funeral suit. Yeah. Ethan is in his funeral suit. Like, you haven't changed clothes for 8 days.
Yeah.
From the time Sheridan was shot, which was arguably before Christmas.
Yeah.
To New Year's Day.
Yeah. It's insane. Yay.
It really is. I'm going to let it go. No, I'm not. Anyway, so.
Well, Hecuba's back in her OG look, and she's back in her lair now.
Yes.
So she's talking to Kay through
her mirror.
Yeah.
That miroir. Yeah, she's looking at Kay through her mirror, and she starts sending shit to the Bennett home. First, she like throws something in her cauldron, it bubbles up, it goes boom, and then there's like this cloud of smoke, and she sends one solitary raven out into the world through her mirror and to the Bennett home, and then that raven sits and perches on the windowsill and just stares at Charity.
Oh, it was an epic stare down. I wrote this down and was like, first of all, that's so Raven. It was fantastic because this is what I remember. I remember this is a big story arc. I mean, we're going to be in the middle of this evil good thing for a really long time, but it's starting off with this very specific Raven Charity stare down was so dang funny. I've never seen a bird look so angry at one person before.
And it went on for so long. And everybody is gathered in the kitchen looking at this bird. It's staring at Charity. Charity's staring back at it. And then everybody's just like, Charity, that bird's looking at you. And they're just standing there looking at this
What did you do to that bird?
For like a minute and a half. I was like, oh my. And it was just like the music just kept swelling.
Oh, so good. Like, so good. I need that musical suite.
For this one bird. Oh, Lord. So the bird flies in and then it flies away.
Yeah.
But Tabitha like sees that raven and says something about how it's such an ominous sign. This is just the beginning. You and I got to get out of here, Timmy. She and Timmy start packing up their shit. Yeah. The skies start to rumble. And then Jessica is on the computer. Now, this was my favorite part of this storyline at all. Totally. Okay. Jessica's on their family computer in the living room, and she's looking up everybody's horoscopes for the new year. You know, as you do. I do that too in the new year. Like, I'm going to read my yearly, what's my year forecast, whatever. I don't particularly subscribe to it, but it's fun to read. Anyway, she's looking up the horoscopes for the year. And I don't know how she got to this. She stumbled upon this. And I'm going to just tell you what it is. It said, quote, "The year 2001 signals a significant battle between the forces of good and evil. This battle will be centered in an unlikely place, the small town of Harmony on the east coast of America." What? First of all, what did she search to get that, for that to come up?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I'm going to look at my horoscope and I put in Scorpio, Sun, Capricorn, Moon, and it'll bring up my specific horse.
Yeah.
What was she looking up to get that?
I want to know who, if it was like Miss Cleo, or if it was like who made this prediction? Or was it, Long Island Medium wasn't popular back then. Was it Jean Dixon? Was she still alive? Like, who specifically wrote this horoscope that was very specific? Like, somebody wrote in and was like, I have a vision.
I felt the same way. Although I feel like it might be just Hecuba trolling the shit out of them, right? Like, she's learned how to use the internet too.
She really enjoyed that character she played, Tiffany, and just kept going with it. And Tiffany's now the horoscope writer at the Harmony Gazette. I think that's what happened.
Exactly. So they read this hilarious horoscope, which is not a horoscope. Yeah. It says horoscopes at the top. It's not a horoscope. And honestly, the screen itself made me very nostalgic, because I remember sites like that, where it was like this weird, like, purple background with like the horoscope was written in like word art. I miss word art. Do they still do that in Word?
Google, it's still there. Yeah.
I use Google Docs, and it doesn't have word art.
That's a shame. Word art,
it is
word
a
art
shame.
made you feel fancy. It made you feel really, really good about your essay. You had your essay was really, really bad, but if you had good word art
a little word art at the top really sets it off. I really loved the rainbow one. Mm-hmm. I loved that, but we didn't even have a color printer, so it was never a rainbow when I printed it out.
I remember I printed out something. I forgot what I printed out, but it was at the school computer with like the Xerox paper, but it was word art, and it was a banner. So it was like sheets and sheets of paper that I had to like go to the printer and so I wouldn't get in trouble. Yeah. That's what that made me think of.
Yeah, it made me very nostalgic, to be honest. Well, anyway, Jessica reads this, quote, horoscope, and then things just get even crazier. Man, this shit just got crazier and crazier. So Hecuba then sends like one raven flying through the window, like crashing through the window, not an open window.
God bless that raven, because it signed up for the suicide mission. It knew exactly what its job was to
it was just a kamikaze,
and it died. Yeah,
it was. I was like, did she just throw a dead raven through through the window, or did the bird fly through the window and die? It probably flew through the window and died, but
it was so funny. And the bird looked pretty good, I gotta say. For all the weird graphics we're about to get, that specific bird looked real. Like, it looked good.
It did look good. That properly looked good, and it was scary. I'm scared of birds, like for real. In my real life, I'm terrified of birds. So honestly, this was a little. It's my worst nightmare, honestly, because then everybody, she sends that one raven through the window, and everybody's like, okay, I guess that's weird, but I'm sure everything's fine. And then like it starts to thunder more, and she sends a murder of crows, and I looked this up, an unkindness of ravens. I didn't know what a group of ravens was called. It's called an unkindness.
See, that's why people come to the Passions Podcast. The more you know.
Yeah, come for the knowledge, stay for the cursing. All right. So she sends a murder of crows and a unkindness of ravens, a parliament of owls. It's every bird.
they're all over the telephone poles. And so now anytime I see these, I always have thought about Passions. I've always, I mean, anytime I go to Walmart at like 6, 7 o'clock, there's these grackles, these birds are always there. And I'm like, Hecuba's here. Like, this is it.
I mean, it's straight out of Hitchcock, right? Like, it's straight out of The Birds, right?
Yeah.
And then that thing, there's so many birds on it that it falls over, it crashes the telephone pole, and the electric wires like break, and it all crashes into their home.
Yeah.
And then of course the birds have free range and they come flying in and attack everybody. I mean, they don't actually physically attack anybody, they're just flapping around, which is terrifying enough.
It is everywhere. I will say, I was so happy that I did in these episodes get an appearance from my man Reese, who was just,
I know, just out and about. Oh, here's Reese. Reese, what was Reese? I guess he was on his way for the New Year's Eve party. Yeah, he comes into the house as this is all happening. He's like, "There's so many birds outside."
I was waiting for him to say something scientific because he was always the one's like, "That's impossible." And this one he was just like, "Y'all, we're gonna die." There are birds. They've been chasing me.
I feel like if I were him and I saw, because apparently, and they say this later, the birds only attacked the Bennett home. So I probably just would have turned my ass around and went home. Called them like, y'all okay over there? I came by, but it was a lot of birds. I couldn't come in.
Can you imagine going to the Bennett house? They're like, "Oh man." I was like, "All right, I guess it'll be cool to hang out with Jessica and Simone, but damn, we got to eat tomato soup cake. What the fuck's going on here?" Right. There's a shitload of birds all over the place. No. Yeah, you're right. I'd have been like, just
absolutely. I wouldn't even gotten out of my car. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have stopped. I would have kept on driving down the street.
And not everybody had cell phones at the time, so I definitely just would have been like, I'll call them when I get home and be like, "I was gonna go inside, but looked a little crazy there."
Yes, exactly. No, absolutely not. But he just loves Kay that much. He had to brave the birds to go see his lady love, Kay, who hates him.
Yeah, all of this is going on. I have to give, if I could give an award out to the best acting, the best moment in this scene is they're all being attacked and they give us, shots of everybody having to deal with the birds coming at their faces. But Eve lets out this incredible, amazing scream that is the award-winning deep actor gut yell. And she is like, "You know what? We got birds in this episode. I almost died in the last one. I had to jump off a boat in the other one." She's like, "You know what? I'm in this. I am in this." And she delivers the best scream I've ever heard anybody give on that soap opera.
She has been through a lot in the last few weeks. She really has been through the ringer.
It would have been cool if they did get that Disney final battle moment, where Timon and Pumbaa are running around, Rafiki's running around, this moment where Eve just pulls out her sedatives and just starts
shooting the birds.
If she just was just
she just got a tranquilizer gun.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Oh yeah, that would be great.
Because there was no fighting back. I mean, you can't grab a bird, and they were just pecking at their heads and stuff.
The doctor is in.
Yeah.
Yeah. and she makes house calls.
Yeah.
Shooting the birds.
Then
hilarious.
We do get this. Of course, we have to get some humor in this as well, because if that wasn't funny enough, Tabitha and Timmy are being chased by the birds as well, and it was so funny to see Timmy with that bird attached to his back,
and Tabitha chasing after him with a broom or something. Oh my gosh! Oh, Tabitha and Timmy, what a mess. So that all is happening. The birds, all of that shit happens, and then the birds form all of these weird shadows, and then they form what I think was supposed to be a giant bird, but was actually a pterodactyl. It looked like a dinosaur.
Yes. Yeah.
And you saw that too, right?
Yeah. No, it definitely had the beak looking thing, but it also had the pointy thing in the back. It definitely looked and then the wingspan of a pterodactyl. I mean, that's exactly what it looked like.
It looked like a pterodactyl that you would see on a theme park ride in the 90s.
It reminded me of the one in Pee Wee Herman, but just an evil version of it.
I've never seen that, but
In the
I
Pee
believe
Wee's
you.
Playhouse. Yeah, it looked like that pterodactyl. I think it was Terry the pterodactyl, something
It
like that.
was
Look
it
it up.
was crazy looking. And then it turned into Hecuba. For whatever reason, like we didn't even need the pterodactyl because the birds could have just formed into Hecuba.
And obviously no one else is going to recognize what that is. It's obviously just for Charity to have this evil vision. It should have just been Hecuba because she looked cool, but it also was kind of this hybrid pterodactyl Hecuba thing at one point, and it was a little weird to look at. Like that I would have yelled at. I would have been scared of that thing.
I was scared of both. I was scared. I was scared, to be honest. I mean, I was laughing, but I was also like, Jesus, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
So Hecuba comes out of the pterodactyl and like her face appears in some of her body, and she tells Charity, this is just the beginning,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna destroy you and all of your little friends too.
Pretty much.
And then she goes away and Charity screams, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, because then
There's no transition.
Yeah, we just go into the next day.
Yeah, we go to the next day and their house is fucking trashed.
Yeah.
And the news is there and it's been written up in the newspaper. I do want to talk about the fact that Ivy comes over because she saw it in the newspaper and she immediately jumps out of her bed and wants to go make sure that Sam is okay. Although I'm sure it said in the newspaper that nobody was harmed.
Yeah.
She didn't need to go over there.
Yeah, I like this idea that Ivy's having breakfast in bed is like, let's see what's going on today in the beautiful town of Harmony. And like she probably glosses over the first few pages of Sheridan's weird death story because she's like, I already know that. And just looks at this picture of birds attacking Sam Bennett's house. And it's like, I have to go over there now.
I gotta get over there. They need me there. That's important. That's an important place for me to be. So she shows up for like all of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Kisses Sam. Almost gets caught by Grace. Sam tells her to hit the road, Jack. You know, please leave. And she does. But it was just an interesting situation that she would even come. I don't know. I guess it is Ivy, and she ain't got nothing else to do.
I will say, having rewatched it again, I did not remember when I was younger the amount of times Ivy would tell Sam, you can have all of this and me. I don't remember that. I remember her desperation. I remember her like scheming, like all of these things that she did, but I don't remember the offer of like, I'll be your side piece. Like, let's go.
Because Ivy makes clear to Rebecca later, and we will get into that. Ivy makes so clear to Rebecca, I have no interest in not being Mrs. Crane. Like she's like, I will have this. This is all mine.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be mine. It will stay mine. You know, you can have Julian, but the rest of this, it belongs to me, kind of thing. But so I mean, I'm actually glad that they did that because we hadn't seen that from Ivy in a while. They had her kind of ready to blow up her entire life. That's what they were doing with Ivy, where it was like, I am gonna tell this secret. I'm grappling with whether I tell this secret, and when I tell this secret, it's gonna blow everything else up out of the water. To be with Sam, she want to tell the secret to be with Sam. But now it's like, I want to be with Sam. I'm gonna eat my cake, have my cake, and eat it too. Yes. I'll wear him down. I don't have to tell him my secret. I'll just wear him down.
Much what she does, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm off track. We gotta get back to Hecuba. Because Hecuba tells Kay, first of all, last night was a trial run for what she has in store. There's so much more to come. And then she tells her to go talk to Charity and just feel out how she's feeling about what happened last night. For some reason, she wants to know like how Charity feels about what happened.
I guess because I thought that was really odd. The only thing that would make sense is like, where does she stand right now? Like what is terrifying her? Where is she at? Because there's a lot of subtext in these scenes, and I'm really deep diving at this point. But they bring up this notion again that Hecuba can't be in the same room as Charity, and Kay actually uses that as like a way to kind of get back at Hecuba, and is like, are you scared of her? Or you know, and she's like, no, I'm not. But there is something there, and I think that's where I thought maybe that question would come from.
Yeah, that's how it felt. Like there's definitely something there. Like you
Yeah.
said, Kay accuses her of being afraid of Charity, and Hecuba gets pissed.
Yeah.
She's like,
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
afraid of
And
her.
she's like, I've had enough. I was like, yeah, you get it, Robin Strasser. Yeah.
And then the one important thing that Hecuba says is that she says, why should I be afraid of Charity? Charity has no memory of me. She doesn't remember me from down in the cave. She doesn't know anything about me. So why should I be afraid of her? So then Kay goes down the hall to talk to Charity. And Charity has been having like nightmares and rolling around her bed. Miguel's there watching her sleep, which is hella weird. He's just
Because he never
he's weird.
goes home.
You know what? I know I keep saying that girl is weird, but he's weird too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go with you know what? I've been giving him too much credit. He's fucking weird, and because he's just there watching her sleep, and she's like, you know, tossing and turning, and he finally wakes her up and is like, she wakes up and she's like, Hecuba. She just wakes up and says Hecuba.
Yeah.
And Miguel, it's interesting to me because Miguel has heard this name before.
Yeah.
Right?
And
but he acts like I don't know if he's feigning ignorance, if he really forgot, if he really just doesn't know, but he acts like he's never heard this name before.
he does nothing with that information.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But he met Hecuba. So
yeah,
it's just interesting I don't know. It's not interesting. It's frustrating.
Yeah, annoying.
That they don't do anything with that in that moment. When we know Miguel, that should stir something in him.
Yeah.
Right? Because she doesn't know he didn't talk about Hecuba. She doesn't know about Hecuba.
Yeah.
So anyway, Charity wakes up, says just yells Hecuba. And Kay comes in and she comes to check on her. And immediately Charity says to Kay, tell us about Hecuba, Kay.
Yeah.
Tell us about Hecuba. What are you doing with Hecuba, Kay?
Yeah.
What are you doing with Hecuba? Like very accusatory. Like she knows something. But Miguel tells her, just let it go, Charity. He tells her, just let it go, Charity.
So dismissive.
And it is so dismissive. And I wonder if he just doesn't want to, like, if he's just so traumatized by what happened down in the mines that he kind of wants to just sweep it all under the rug, even if
You're giving
it
him
doesn't
a lot of credit, but
I know. I am. No, I am. I'm doing it again. I'm giving him credit where credit is not due. No, he tells her to let it go. So we end this with another horrifying scene where everybody's downstairs cleaning up and Hecuba makes the walls of this home bleed.
Yeah.
And they're just all staring at it like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
They're like, is that from the birds?
No.
Yeah. Like if it was from the birds, you would have seen it by now. The walls are actively bleeding.
Yeah, it was so funny. And again, I at some point, Kay quips something about like, it feels like my life has turned into Buffy, and Hecky was like, hey, well, that's a good show, actually. Like,
yeah, it's very well written, actually. Like, it's, it's like.
And then there's one last thing with Tabitha and Timmy again. They keep going back into the Bennett house to check, and Tabitha says something about being dead meat, and Timmy just says Timmy wants to be vegetarians, which I just thought was really cute. So, and that's pretty much what's going on with magic this time around. But I gotta say again, when I saw these episodes, I was so thrilled because this is the stuff I remember being like, I love this show. Those graphics are so awful. And I was like, back then I was like, they were pretty bad back then, but now looking at them like, yeah, this is the daytime budget.
Oh, I mean, they're still just catching up from spending all of their money in those Paris episodes and those first 50 episodes they went to Paris and were shooting on location in Paris. They're still just catching up from that budget deficit.
I mean, I would have staged every magic thing in the mine because that was so much money I have to think that was a lot of money for that set and all of that like background stuff. But yeah, this was the stuff I remembered. So I had a great time watching these specific things with all the magic going on because it was a lot of Tabitha, Timmy, Hecuba, and birds and walls bleeding, and it was thrilling.
I enjoy this part of the magic storyline when everything gets really kooky and crazy and just like outlandish. Because like the feelings that the feelings that Charity and Grace get, they don't do anything for me. You know, the
Yeah.
premonitions don't do anything for me. But like when Hecuba was throwing dead birds around, like, yeah, count me in, man.
And it is the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning of this storyline, because I remember stuff coming. So I am so excited about the podcast delving into this in the future.
Yeah, I am also very excited. I can't wait. I think I'm gonna see if I can rope Laura into coming back for one of those episodes,
Yes,
because I just feel like she
she
needs to see the
it.
hell stuff.
Every
She
time.
needs to see the
Yeah.
hell stuff.
I miss her. What the hells? I miss her. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from, but okay. Her reactions were so great. She does need to come back and just see a little bit of where we're headed, because just to even tell her not to watch anything, just watch it where she picks up from, and she'll be
exactly. No, yeah, make her drop in where I am, and then because she knows she won't have missed that much.
Yeah,
you know, but she will have in the mutant. This storyline, it will still be very jarring. You know,
it would be funny if she came back and wait, Sheridan's alive. I mean, like,
well, I've been keeping her apprised of all of these things. You know, I really have. She has to suffer through my recaps all the time. It was like, so then, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to Sheridan and Luis, aka Shuis.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to say on the Sheridan and Luis front this week. A lot of their stuff kind of gets mixed up. Well, Luis's stuff obviously gets mixed up with Teresa and Ethan. Actually, so does Sheridan's. So let's get started here. Shuis, we start this storyline, like I said, like all the storylines start, where it's the exact same things that happened last week, but in dream form. Everybody's dreaming about what happened last week. Yeah. So Luis is dreaming about praying for Sheridan, and Sheridan showing up in all white to church, and then the two of them making out in church. Yeah. And he takes her back to a thing that we didn't see last week was that he takes her back to the hospital. He like picks her up and takes her back to the hospital.
Can I say, I do remember this specifically. I remember this, and I'm not crazy. I remember this moment, and I didn't think about it until I saw this episode, that I was like, who is that random woman in the background watching them make out? There is a woman by the candles, by the statue, just standing there, and she's like so happy that they're making out, but they don't explain it. And I remember watching it initially, the very first time, being like, who is that woman? And they finally do say that a nurse took Sheridan from the hospital to the church.
Oh, she sure did.
But they don't say that until like 3 episodes into the week. And that's why I was like, who is that woman?
I didn't even see her. I didn't even see that lady.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, there's this lady. Can you imagine just being at church and being like, oh, hey, get it. Merry Christmas. I mean,
Merry Christmas. Oh, I was about to say, what's the phrase from Scrooge?
Merry
God bless us, everyone. That's it.
Go.
I was like, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. That's not it.
I went there first. Thank you. You got it.
It's God bless us, everyone, as you watching two people make out at church.
Yeah.
Yes. So they make out. I guess the nurse is standing there. I didn't even see that. Good catch, because I didn't even notice her at all.
It's a very fast pan, and she's just like, wee.
Like, she must be standing in the shadows.
If I were an extra on Passions, I'd have done the same thing. I'd have been like,
yeah. So Luis wakes up from this dream where he is dreaming of the thing that happened. And he's holding Sheridan's hand, and he's like, please, God, don't let it have been a dream. Don't let it be real. And so Sheridan wakes up. It's obviously real. They confess their love to each other. Yeah. They both say, I love you. I love you. I can't believe I took so long to tell you I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. We get like an hour and a half of Sheridan and Luis footage this week in 3 episodes. And it's almost exclusively I love yous. It's almost exclusively just like, this is how I feel about you. I love you so much. That's it. That's the vast majority of it.
Yeah. And we get a little back and forth here. All I wrote on my notes is ha 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 ha, which I know I was laughing really hard because a nurse who apparently works for the Cranes is spying on them and has she calls Alistair's assistant because the assistant was told if anything happens to call the assistant. I laugh so hard because if something crazy happens, all she says is, they're kissing.
Yeah. She's like, Luis is here with Sheridan and they're kissing each other. And I mean, that is big news for Alistair because he does not want them together. But like,
it was the delivery.
If all somebody told me was, let me know if anything big, major happens, that would not be on my radar. I don't think. You know what I mean? If they didn't tell me the players, they didn't tell me like, tell me what happens between this person and this person.
Yeah.
I don't think that would necessarily be on my radar. The big thing is that the bitch woke up.
Yes.
Did she call when Sheridan woke up? I don't think she did because she was like, Sheridan's awake and Luis is with her and they're kissing. I don't think she even called when Sheridan woke up hours ago.
Yeah.
She's been back for a long time now, you know. Presumably since Christmas, and presumably it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
She's been up for 5 days apparently.
You made me think of something. I take it back. I don't want to be an extra on Passions. My life goal will to be the next actor who plays Alistair. I'm looking at my hands going, can they act?
Can you just
I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna go for, because Sheridan ends up being reunited with Ethan. Eventually he'll show up and they'll have a conversation, but I'm laughing again because Alistair is acting again and playing with little army men, like army models, and then he swipes them away to show you how angry. This hand acting is so fascinating to me. I'm like, I should have majored in hand acting.
It was funny because he is always just playing with like antique toys. That's like all he does, right?
And fruitcake.
But yeah, and then he dumped out a fruitcake. Like, sir, are you about to eat that whole thing by yourself? What is happening? Alistair's a monster. He's gonna eat that whole fruitcake all by himself.
And I won't shame anybody for being able to put away a whole cake. He can do that, but there was a
whole fruitcake though.
I don't like it. I don't like fruitcake. Never have.
Nobody does. No, like, I think there's people who can tolerate a slice. I don't. Yeah. I refuse to believe that there's a human soul on earth who could stomach an entire fruitcake all by themselves.
So maybe it was subliminal, or maybe it was hidden messages. Maybe it was a hidden passion that he stabbed the fruitcake for everybody, for all of us during the holiday season.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. He's a psycho.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gets pissed. He gets pissed because now that Sheridan's alive and Luis and Sheridan are closer than ever. And he said something really gross about when they said that Sheridan was alive, he was like, oh, it's good that she woke up. I hate for people, if I missed her funeral a second time, people would think I didn't care. Like, he was already planning on not going to go to her second funeral. His own daughter. Alistair said some nasty stuff these episodes, honestly. So Alistair, a lot of shit happens with Julian, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But basically, Alistair has a conversation with Julian and Ivy and tells them they have to break up Luis and Sheridan, right?
Yeah.
And then he alludes to killing, and more than alludes to killing.
He says something about Martin Fitzgerald, you know.
Yeah, he's like, maybe it's time for us to get rid of the son the way we got rid of the father, kind of thing. And he basically says we got to kill Luis.
Yeah.
Julian, of all people, which Julian has been like this. Julian has been this way the entire time. Because this is not the first time Alistair has suggested that they kill Luis. Yeah. But Julian is the person who has to do the dirty work. So he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Understandably. Listen, I'm going to give Julian a little props right here. Julian is not nearly as easily persuaded to murder someone as Hank was.
Yeah, that is true. And it's funny because, Julian has had to do underhanded, dirty things before, but he, there are always, because I know where Julian's storyline goes eventually throughout the series, but there are always little seeds of Julian, like, still having some kind of heart, like he's still, well, and at this point in there they attribute it to Catherine being like the good person for Julian and Sheridan as their role model, and so they do that, but he does have those little seeds of like he's like, I don't want to do that, but yeah, you're right, he's like, I don't want to get my hands dirty, like I'll do what I have to, but why do we got to go that route first?
Yeah, he's like, let's find some other way to do this, we can break them up without killing him. And what he basically says is, and I sincerely think Julian has a moral problem with killing Luis. I think he does. But what he tells Alistair is, if we kill him, we will be the number one suspects. It's just too obvious.
And Alistair's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so they are, I mean, I think they're going to go back to that whole imposter bullshit. They're going to bring that. I think that's going to come back again, that right. Imposter with the mask. I'm pretty sure that comes up again, because I remember it coming up again, because we have not finished with that.
And they recruit Ivy into this, and the only way they recruit Ivy is because Ivy says, well, she wants to help. She actually does feel like she does need to keep the two of them separate, because if something were to happen and Sam has to come back into the picture, it like messes with her stuff. So that's where they
at first, to Ivy's credit, she fully objects to the entire thing, because they're talking about, we have two big problems on our hands right now. We have Sheridan and Luis, and we have Teresa and Ethan, and we have to break all of these people up. This is bad for the family. Ivy objects to both things immediately. Yeah. And the thing with Sheridan that she says, that I was like, yeah, Ivy, that's damn right. She's like, hasn't Sheridan suffered enough? And I was like, yes, hasn't this woman suffered enough? Let her have her boyfriend.
I know.
Let her have her boyfriend. So
those are the moments where I love Ivy. Yeah.
To her credit, she does say that at first, and then her wheels start to spin, because Julian says, well, if Luis gets into this mansion, if he has an inroads here, he's gonna start digging up all of our secrets.
There it is. That's what it was.
And that's the part where Ivy's like, you know what? You're right. I don't want him digging up my secrets. Yeah. She doesn't say that outright, but they all know that's what's happening. Exactly. And she says, I will do this on one condition, that you don't take that you don't take Teresa away from Ethan. And Alistair like agrees to this, but then he tells Julian that he was just humoring Ivy. Like, obviously I'm lying. That's bullshit.
It was very smart. It was like, okay, good. You got, Ivy is helpful in these things, and having her on your side is better than her just being a thorn in your side. Like, she can help.
You don't want Ivy working against you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So actually, now since we're talking about Ivy, let's talk about this whole fate thing. Actually, let's take a quick break, and I need to do shout outs. I'm actually remembering today before the end of the show. Yeah. Look at me, so smart, so on top of it. All right. So before we move on, I want to say a thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Dustin, Heather, Randall, Ashley, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, Samantha, Amy, Chucky, Jeanette, and our newest patron, Eric.
Hey, I told you I had been wanting to get on, and I finally was like, okay, here we go. Boom. And I had so much fun catching up on there's a lot of stuff going on there. If you're not a patron, and I'm not just saying this as a friend of the podcast, I really meant it. I was looking at all the bonus features that you have in there, the polls. People are chatting. Like, it's so cool. There's a whole community of people to talk with, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I'm trying to keep it up, and by the time this episode airs, we will have already started Passions Book Club. But Passions Book Club is starting on the 18th, March 18th, which this is not going to air until well into April. Yes, so we're reading Hidden Passions. I'm very excited. This Friday we're going to be on the Discord.
Tabitha Lennox.
I love that they put her on the back cover. Like, she truly wrote this book.
She's got a great photo. I mean, that is a great photo of her.
Juliet Mills is gorgeous, though, too. Yes. Like, she's an older lady, but she's absolutely elegant.
But again, it'll always make me laugh that Hecuba has written about the book as well.
So and Nostradamus.
And
Nero.
These are the people that Tabitha got to like hawk her book, and I just think it's fantastic.
That's hilarious.
I wish they would have got somebody like Barbara Walters or just like one real person.
Yeah.
It would have been shocking to people at the time to be like, wow, Barbara loves this book. Or
Yeah.
Oprah. You know,
Yeah.
if
Oprah's
it would have
book
been
club.
on Oprah's book club, that would have been so good. Hey,
Yeah.
it is a legit New York Times bestseller. So, and
That it
rightfully
is.
so. So I'm excited for the people to read along with you.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Like, so yes, if you want to be a patron, go on over to patreon.com/passions podcast and sign up for whatever tier you are happy with. Anybody can join the Discord on if you're on the Patreon. So at any tier you can be on the Discord, and there's a lot of people out there chatting it up, mixing it up.
Cool.
So, all right, we're gonna move on now to my favorite, Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald, soon to be Crane, huh? I mean, kinda. I mean, I know.
I'm telling you, at some point, we're going to get to those things where they start to say her name. Well, first of all, they always say her full name, but the longer it gets, the more fun they have saying the name. Because I can hear Andrea Evans and I can hear Ivy. I can hear them all being like, oh, Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald Crane.
I think at one point, it becomes Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald Crane Winthrop. Like, it's so many names. It's so many names. I love her.
Good. It's so good.
This is my girl. So let's talk about it. Again, we start this storyline where Teresa is dreaming all the things that happened in the last episodes. So she dreams about Ethan coming over to her in the middle of a church service and proposing to her and then making out with her in church in the middle of Christmas mass. So inappropriate.
I want to go to church. Everyone's hooking up. It's so hot. I mean, you just, I would be there just happy to get my, my communion and, say my prayers, but apparently at this church, everyone hooks up. It's really beautiful, hot. It's incredible.
Yeah. Club Cathedral. Everybody's getting it in at Club Cathedral.
Yeah, they'd be playing Sandstorm.
They're doing angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing, let the bass drop over the place. No,
and everybody's having the time of their life except Kay's out there going, wow, mass is really great this year.
Yeah, Father Lonigan's on the ones and the twos, scratching it out.
Yeah, where was Father Lonigan? Yeah.
Where is Father Lonigan? With all this stuff going on in this town, we need you.
Oh, he's gonna show up soon. He's gonna be like, I was away on vacation during midnight mass, but now I made sure to be here for your New Year's party that started 3 hours ago.
It's your most important and most busiest time of the year. And where are you, Father Lonigan? Just sleeping on the job, MIA. All right, so let's talk about this. Teresa wakes up after having the dream about all the recap, what happened, and she's thrilled. She's like, Ethan's gonna marry me, and it's all true. Ethan shows up immediately, knocks on their door, and comes in and asks Pilar permission to marry Teresa. He's like, I know I should have said this before last night because I proposed fully last night, but I want your permission to marry your daughter. And it's funny because Pilar never actually gives her blessing. Like, she never actually says, yes, you have my permission. She says there are so many outside factors other than my opinion that are going to be a problem for you. She says, while my reservations are significant, which doesn't feel like a blessing to me, while my reservations are significant, they pale in comparison to that of your families.
Yeah, she knows that they're never going to let them get married. So she's like, she's just trying to protect Teresa. And she's just like, I love you both, but she just kind of gets, stuck there. She can't go beyond saying anything other than like, I think y'all are a little overzealous right now, but, I'm here.
She never gets her blessing, but they act like she did. Which is so interesting. So She says, even if I give my blessing, they will do everything in their power to stop you two from getting married. So she says, even if I were to do this, you wouldn't be able to get married anyway. She never actually gives her blessing. And then they act like she did give her blessing.
Yeah.
Ethan gets down on one knee and proposes again with an ugly ring.
Yeah,
that thing was hideous.
And it was funny because I wrote down how angry I was because he raises his voice at Pilar, which I did not like. Like, I know he's impassioned. Like, he's like, I'm gonna, you don't understand. I'm like, but don't talk to her like that. That's your mother-in-law, future mother-in-law that you're talking to. And then, yes, they close up on the ring that Gwen gave back to Ethan. Is that my understanding?
No, this is a different ring than the ring that Gwen gave back to Ethan. I did know that because I don't know if you remember this. There was this whole thing about Gwen's engagement ring. We did like a 70 episode arc about Gwen's engagement ring. I've seen that ring a lot. Yeah. And it was not the same ring. Gwen's ring was actually a lot prettier than this ring. This ring was really hideous. I think it's very ugly. But whatever. Teresa loves it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he gets down on one knee, proposes again with the ring, says nobody in his family, nothing they can do, not even Rebecca, there's nothing they can do to stop him from marrying Teresa. So Teresa is overjoyed. She screams, Ethan and I are really getting married. Okay. If you say so, girl.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of time between now and that wedding, which, well, we'll talk about that. Yes. So Pilar then starts to sprinkle down on their parade. you know, I wouldn't call it a full blown downpour, but it was a light sprinkle on their parade, and tells them, Luis is never going to give his blessing.
Exactly.
Try as you might, Luis will see it as a betrayal of his father because he blames the Cranes for his disappearance.
Yeah.
And he equates Ethan with Julian and Alistair. He doesn't think that there's any difference between them. So he will think of it as an affront to his own father. He's never, ever going to give his blessing.
Yeah.
Ethan's like, yeah, you know what? I could see how that might be true. Because Teresa's like, well, maybe he will. And Ethan's like, no, he thinks I killed Sheridan. Like, he's never going to forgive me for that.
Minor detail.
Yeah. He's like, he blames me as the person who took Sheridan from him. Well, then Luis calls from the hospital and he gives Pilar the good news that Sheridan is alive and well and up and talking. She's not a vegetable. She's out of her coma. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
What's the remix of that one in the church?
Oh, happy day. I don't know if I got that one in me. Let's see. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. No, that's so bad.
I want Father Lonigan on the discs.
I need Father Lonigan on the discs. I needed that. He needed to fix that. Help me out. So they everybody rushes off to the hospital, obviously, because Sheridan's alive. Sheridan's alive. So when they get to the hospital, Ethan explains to Sheridan that he had to take her off of life support, which nobody had explained to Sheridan she had been on life support. Nobody had explained to Sheridan that she had been like dead.
Yeah, and they were just content being together. They bypassed all this so Hank tried to kill you. Like, is that my understanding? Like, Luis didn't even have time to digest everything that happened. It was just thank God we're together. Yeah, and Ethan's like, so I killed you.
Yeah, he's like, well, I had to take you off life support, but I was just following your wishes. And she's like, it's no big deal. I'm alive, so no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Which honestly makes sense. Really, they were her wishes. That is what she's like. And I imagine for her, it's like, yeah, that's what I asked you to do.
She is more shocked at is that Ethan chose Teresa. Like, I see it in her face, which I thought was interesting.
My favorite thing, my second favorite thing, because I already said what my favorite thing was when Ethan and Teresa come into the room. Sheridan says, "Hey, Ethan, where's Gwen?" Oh,
It is
like, where's
really,
Gwen?
it is really good subtle acting because it's all in her eyes, and she's just kind of like, it's funny because she totally processed that she's dead and alive now. Like that doesn't faze her. Like that's not what she's thinking about. She's like, wait, who did you pick somebody? Where's Gwen? Where's my best friend Gwen?
My quote best friend. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But he explains to her, I picked Teresa, but we got to finish this conversation about your life support. So he tells her, I took you off life support. She says it's no big deal. Luis says it's kind of a big deal. He almost killed you. and so Luis is very obviously still harboring some resentment surrounding this. But Sheridan begs Luis to just let it go. She says he was only following my wishes, and that's what I wanted. And no matter how this situation went, like, it's, first of all, I'm alive and fine. So really, again, no harm, no foul. But two, that's what I wanted him to do. He did what I wanted him to do. So I want you to forgive him for this. And Luis agrees. Luis is like, okay. Because I'm glad Sheridan said that and made that point, because just like Sheridan getting shot wasn't Luis's fault.
Yeah.
Ethan had to pull the plug on Sheridan. He had
You're
to.
absolutely right. Yeah.
It's what she wanted.
Yeah.
So he had to follow her wishes. So I'm glad that Luis agreed and we can get past that. I'm so glad we can get past that because that was kind of annoying. Then Ethan and Teresa take this moment to tell everybody about their engagement. Not just that he picked Teresa, but they are now engaged. Sheridan says, congratulations. Luis says to Teresa, we need to talk.
Yeah, no, not today. No.
He says, we need to talk. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. He says, meet me outside, Mr. President. So they go out to talk. Teresa makes some decent points.
Yes.
She gives so many impassioned speeches in these episodes. And that's her whole thing, though. Have you ever watched Naruto?
No, I haven't. I know of it.
Okay, well, there's a character in Naruto, namely Naruto, whom he gives these really impassioned speeches. Like, Naruto's like superpower. I mean, he's really strong and everything too, but he constantly is like changing bad guys to good guys with just the power of his words. Yeah. And I feel like that's what Teresa does. She's just like constantly giving these impassioned speeches to change people's hearts and minds.
She is the queen of tears and monologues. That is what she is the queen of. Yeah.
Changing hearts and minds. And she says, you told me that you were wrong for telling me not to love Ethan. You told me that I should never let anybody get in the way of my love. You said that when you thought Sheridan was dead. And he says to her, it's one thing to love Ethan. It's another thing to marry him, which is not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
It's not entirely wrong. I've had this conversation multiple times with people about how being in love and having love for someone is just not always enough for a relationship, and definitely for a marriage. Like for a partnership, there's a lot of other factors that are involved, and love is huge. It's a major one, but the fact that his family hates you could be a big problem.
And that's Teresa's whole thing, is she's blinded by her optimism, like, and her faith. Like, she really does believe that that it's all gonna work out. And I'm like, I'm so happy that Pilar is there and Whitney is there to ground her, because she'd be off in orbit all the time if she didn't have those two. And Luis as well. I mean, like, to tell them that. I was laughing a lot too, because I can't remember in what sequence this happens, but basically Luis has a conversation with Sheridan about how the fact that he can't let Teresa marry Ethan because he's a crane. And it just I mean, like, I know Sheridan's different. I know he knows she's different. But she's still a crane. And the way he's so ugly about it to her, and she's just sitting there taking it. She's just kind of like, we suck.
It's really interesting because Sheridan loves her family too. I think she understands more about how her family is than Ethan does. I think Ethan still has some rose-colored glasses on when it comes to especially Alistair. Because I think he's, in the time that we've seen him, he's made a shift from like believing that his dad is like this really great guy. Like when we first started, Ethan thought that Julian was this faithful husband, this great provider, this loving, caring, father. And as he's gone on, he's realized that his father is a rake, and he's an absolute like slime ball and a snob. He's learned all of these things about him, and he said that flat out that he doesn't want to be like him.
And I will say that makes me sad that we wasted an opportunity for Julian to show some remorse about Sheridan when she passed away, because they just glossed over it. I mean, he was just like, my sister's dead. I mean, like it just didn't get. I was like, I remember very few and far between whenever we got moments with Julian and Sheridan together. And I can understand siblings being very far apart. I can understand siblings being very, very far apart in terms of age and closeness. But like there was an opportunity that was missed to show a little bit of humanity, because Sheridan, I remember Sheridan often being like, well, you don't know what it was like when we, Julian and I growing up. Like it was just very, very different. Like they're the only two that know what it was like to have to live with Alistair and Catherine and those early things. And of course, Sheridan going through her like big secret that she's the only one that knows the answer to that whole storyline too. So
yeah. With Julian, I was thinking about this because he didn't have a whole lot of remorse, but he did start to just drink. Like and we see Julian drink quite a lot, but he was like pounding drinks, and I think that was kind of his way
of coping,
because he doesn't want to be a disappointment to Alistair, and Alistair doesn't care, so I'm not supposed to care. But also,
that's why you're at the helm of this ship. Look at you. Yes, that's it.
Oh, yes, so astute. No, I mean, but on top of that, we have also seen that Julian does care about Sheridan in his own way, but I also think, and this is shitty, this is really shitty, but also he started to drink. He was like, I'm gonna cope with this. I'm gonna kind of mask this, the pain that I feel. But also Sheridan was an issue for me. She was a problem for me. That's one less problem I had to solve. Solve. I was gonna have to break her and Luis up. Now I don't have to do that anymore. You know? So I think
was one
in a way, I think he mourned it, but I think he also, it was like a weight lifted off of him too. I think.
Well, because, and then at the end of the day, it all goes to him. If he has to mess with Sheridan, it's him as opposed to Alistair. So that's even harder to do.
He always has to do the dirty work. Always. I mean, he botches it every single time. Bumbles it every time. Fumbles the ball. But he tries. He definitely tries. He's a try hard, this one. But where were we? So
it's Ethan. I'm sorry. It's Luis not giving permission.
Right. Luis basically says he can't give her his blessing. He's not going to be able to walk her down the aisle. He says to her, these are the same people who are responsible for Papa's disappearance. They don't want you in their family. They will destroy you. If you marry into their family, they will destroy you. And if I walk you down that aisle, it will be like I'm walking you to your own funeral. Heavy words. But not necessarily wrong, because we've heard Alistair talking about killing Luis. We've actually heard Alistair talking about killing Sheridan himself. Like he was ready to kill her when he thought that she was about to out her secret about Martin Fitzgerald. So, he was like, well, like if we got to do what we got to do to keep the family secrets, and that includes murdering my own daughter.
Exactly.
So it's not outside the realm of reality that they would stage some sort of, especially if she's in that house, they could poison her easily.
Yeah. She's getting closer and closer into that, and it's not good.
But she gives another very impassioned speech about love and happiness and all I want you to be happy, and I just want you to let me be happy. And I see how happy you are with Sheridan, and I'm so happy for you that you got to be with the person that you love, and that's all I'm asking for myself. But that's
and
when, yeah, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, it fascinates me because within a commercial break, Luis goes 180 and it's like, all right, I approve. It was so fast.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of segments about how he hated it. And then he's like, yeah, you're right.
I'm going to give him a pass on this because I think he was already softening to the idea.
Yeah.
I do. I think he was already softening to the idea.
Yeah. It was just the speed. It made me laugh. I was like, that. Okay.
I mean, time warp. We do the time warp on these episodes a lot. Yes. Honestly, that conversation probably happened Christmas Eve, and then he changed his mind on New Year's. Yeah. Like, who knows?
Again, I always am trying to figure out what's going on in Harmony at what times. Couldn't we just have gotten a shot of like they're there looking at Sheridan in the hospital room, and you just see like a bunch of like a body with just a bunch of black feathers being rolled past, like somebody got
yes,
just so we could have a little bit of continuity.
I would love that. Have you ever watched Arrested Development?
Oh yes,
they do that in Arrested Development all the time, and I love that. And it really increases the rewatch value because the first time I watched it, I didn't know about certain things that were happening at the same time. And so they would be in the hospital and you would see somebody come roll, like a blue guy roll past. You're like, oh, you don't think about it. And then you see Tobias got hit by a car earlier in the day, Yeah. I love when they do stuff like that. That would have been hilarious.
I just thought it would have been great to just see, a sheet over a body and just black feathers on top of it.
There was a bird attack in town.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, so Ethan steps into this conversation between Luis and Teresa, and I actually really liked what he said. He steps in and he says, "What kind of brother are you? How could you break your sister's heart like this?" And Luis says, "You're the one bringing all this conflict into my family. You should just leave." And Ethan says, "No, you're the one bringing the conflict into your family," which is absolutely true. Luis could let Teresa make her own decision, be clear about how you feel about it, and give her the advice, but you could absolutely let her make her own decision. And when she needs help, come to her aid. But this is not her needing help. She thinks she knows what she's doing. Let her do it.
Yeah, I will. Yes, I totally agree with that. But I will say it is on par with Latino machismo to like, I put my foot down. I am the one in charge of the family like that. I'm like, hey, writers, I don't know if you meant to do that. Probably didn't, but that's on par.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I will defer to your expertise on that.
Say, I'm like, I can see this, the head of that the Latino family being like, I say what goes, especially I am the dad now since Papa's gone. I have to protect you. I have to watch over you. But to me, I'd always just defer to Pilar. Pilar's already told her what Pilar has given her the best advice all the time, which again is on par with Mexican mothers.
Yeah.
I listen to them. I'm like, I can avoid myself a lot of problems.
That's how I feel about my mother. Yeah. No, that's how I feel about Black women. I'm just like Black mothers specifically. I'm like, okay, let me just listen to this.
My mom. Yeah.
Listen to this lady. She has my mom has really saved me from a lot of problems. And I've had some issues where I've had moments where I was like, should have listened to that lady.
Yeah.
I should have listened to that lady. She knew what she was talking about. Oh, dang. Yeah. And then sometimes I'll call her and be like, you were right. Yeah. And I was wrong.
Yeah. Now with age, I'm just like, whatever she told me to do. I mean, she tells me to jump on my right foot. I don't forget it. I just quoted SpongeBob.
Don't forget it.
Bring it around town.
Bring it around town. Perfect pelvic thrust. Woo! Another pelvic thrust, huh? It's the pelvic thrust episode.
Yeah. But so I mean, it just it goes from there to that, and Luis is like, you know what? Yeah, you're right, and I will give you my blessing.
Yeah, well, Luis has to talk to Sheridan first.
Yes,
which is so important, and I loved this. I really loved this because they rehash all their issues. He rehashes all his issues with the Cranes with Ethan, and then Sheridan Sheridan like very creakily and what's the word for when you're sickly? She's sickly.
Yeah.
Very sickly, walking out to try to listen in.
Oh
And
yes. Oh,
Luis
that's
is
right.
like, you got to go back to bed. So he takes her back in and lays her back down. And she's the one who makes him take that 180 turn. She is the one. I mean, I think he was already kind of softening to it, but she says, and it's very important. This goes back to what you were saying about her when he's talking about the cranes, and she's really just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I mean, I am a crane, you know?
Yeah.
Like if somebody was coming at me talking about those leaves and
Yeah.
I mean, even if some of it was true, I would still be like, but you can't paint us all with that same broad brush.
Especially her and Ethan, and she knows Ethan, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So she tells Luis, Luis, I'm so disappointed in you. She says, when Teresa came in here, I could see the love in her eyes. I could see how excited she was to be with Ethan. And I could see that the two of them belong together.
Yeah.
And how can you not see that? And that's your own sister. And she tells him, you know, you've always had an issue. I've known you've had an issue with my family and with the Cranes, but it makes me feel like you have an issue with me too,
Yeah.
you know? And he's like, no, you're different. And it's like, it doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't make me feel better, you know? But, I mean, but Sheridan is different. Sheridan is different. And we do know that Alistair and Julian are terrible, but Ethan and Sheridan and Ivy, I would argue, are decent people.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, they're flawed people, but you're right. They, at the end of the day, they'll grapple with doing the right thing or the wrong
at least. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna tear at them. But sometimes it all goes down to whether the fact that they're going to get what they want in the process. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking more like an Ivy or like
Ivy will always put herself first.
Yeah.
She will always put herself first. Maybe Ethan in certain situations, but I think in most situations, she's going to put herself first. So, Sheridan says to Luis, I thought you believed that love could change things. I thought you believed that love was what kind of brought us together and changed our situation and changed your heart towards me. And he says, I do believe that love can change things. And you are absolutely right. And then he gives Teresa his blessing. He says, who am I to stand in your way? I'm going to be there to walk you down the aisle. You're my little sister, and I'm going to do that for you.
You are the Passions dramaturg, because yes, he didn't go 180. I think it just went so fast. I think that's why I was jarred by it. But it is Sheridan that pulls him aside and is like, hello, they love each other. And how can we, say we love each other if we don't recognize someone else's?
It's so hypocritical because Sheridan is a Crane. Now they do. And I think this was the writers trying to reconcile this hypocrisy, because they do touch on the fact that Ethan is the Crane heir, so he will inherit everything, and Sheridan won't really inherit anything beyond what her inheritance is.
The cottage,
right? The cottage. She's not going to inherit like Crane Industries. She's not going to inherit a business, anything like that, a major portfolio. Maybe she might inherit, I think she has like some properties and some I'm sure she has plenty of money, but she's not going to inherit the Crane wealth, right? But Ethan is, and so Teresa having access to that is going to be the family's problem with her, versus Luis, who isn't going to have access to the breadth of the Crane family fortune. So we talk about that, but they still in trouble. They don't even know. Then Pilar, okay, so this thing happens where Pilar presses Teresa about her laptop. This whole thing happens because Teresa has a conversation with Ethan where he says, we should get married right away, and I need to find my birth certificate. And that makes Teresa remember how she scanned all of his like documents into her computer, the Ivy's documents into her computer.
Yes.
And I think his birth certificate was one of them. But
Yeah.
she gets this kind of look on her face and she's like, Ethan, I have to tell you about your real family, which I didn't even take notes on this because I know when this is actually going to come out, and I'm very, 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 very tired of this bullshit.
Yes.
Teresa does this every 30 minutes. I have to tell you about your real family, and then says nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna happen a lot, and we're not done with it yet. It's gonna keep going
forever.
But yeah, that's basically what Pilar's like. I wish you would have, because it's Teresa's laptop that's in Ivy's room.
Which how did it get in Ivy's room? Child,
that's what
this
I don't know.
Me for a goddamn loop. Yeah. So Teresa's thinking, oh my goodness, my laptop is in Ivy Crane's bedroom.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to disturb it there because it's in Ivy's room. Pilar pulls it out of Teresa that she scanned the documents because Pilar did not know this until now. And now Pilar's like, we need to get over there and you need to delete those things immediately.
I love Teresa, but this is another one of those, Teresa te duele la cabeza. It makes me so angry because I'm like, Mama, why keep those things? Why keep those things? I understand the logic, but it's like, it's on your laptop. I mean, like, it's all on you.
I mean, at least put a passcode on your laptop.
Yeah. It's
at least put a passcode on your laptop or encrypt the file or.
And she says that. She says, oh, but her logic was, she says, Ivy doesn't even know how to turn on a computer, which I'm like,
which isn't true. We've seen Ivy on a computer.
Yes. So she's like,
we saw Ivy literally scanned naked pictures of Julian and Eve and sent half of them to Eve's husband. She literally was able to redact part of a picture on a computer and then email it. So that's ridiculous that Ivy can't turn on a computer. That's absurd.
Yeah.
But my question is, how did the laptop get into Ivy's room? How is it there?
I don't know. Yeah.
How is it there? Because the last time I saw it, I'm gonna tell you the last time I saw this laptop. I was thinking about this. I was like, when was the last time I saw the laptop? The last time I saw that laptop was when Teresa and Ethan went on their first date, which that's another thing. These two people have been on exactly one date. They've been on exactly one date to a carnival or a pier or an arcade. Okay. And they're going to get married. They've been on exactly one date to an arcade and they have decided that's enough for me. Let's get married.
No, you listen, the way to my heart is if you take me to Dave & Buster's and you win me a teddy bear, I'm yours.
I'm yours forever. Apparently that's all it takes. I mean, if I was 18, I guess so. Right. Well, Lord Jesus. But that's the last time I saw that laptop was when they were on that date. And they were dancing to music that she had on her laptop on the wharf. And then they went on their date and then she went home. And then we found out that Sheridan had died. Yeah. So why did she ever bring her laptop back to the mansion and leave it in Ivy's room? When did that happen?
Yeah, because also Rebecca's been up there once before and she found the locket, but she didn't find the laptop.
No laptop. There was no laptop. What has happened? And I guess because so many days have passed, maybe she's been to work, but everybody's still in the same clothes.
I think Teresa does get some Christmas vacay, so like she wouldn't have been there working for Ivy.
This does not make sense. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. This one was, I was very like annoyed by, because I knew that Rebecca found all those papers and stuff. I remembered that. And I know how she disseminates them. I know how she gets them.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that I forgot this little detail. I don't remember this detail. And it's so stupid. And it's really not even an important detail. I'm just a dog with a bone. Yeah, I'm just a dog with a bone on this because it's so fucking stupid.
Because they could have, they could have come up with another way to discover that. Because I remember Ivy throws them in the fire or something like that. But there could have been, we'll get into that when we get to Rebecca and all of them. But yeah, it is a silly, silly little thing that they just glossed over.
Well, let's get into all of them. Let's go to the mansion and see what's going on at the mansion.
I guess I'll just chime in with these last few things because all of a sudden, they are going so we're gonna get back into this, but they are going into New Year's. Do we want to wait until New Year's? I just wanted to comment on their outfits because they look awesome. So I guess we can wait.
Go in the comments on them. Yeah.
They looked, Pilar and Teresa look incredible.
We do need to talk about this. I'm glad you brought this up. So after Luis gives his consent to Teresa, then Ethan's like, we're having a little party at my house at the mansion for New Year's Eve, and I want you both to come. Teresa's like, well, I'm not dressed for it. He says it's formal, even though there's going to be 5 people there. It's formal. It's like a party. This is not. Okay. And he has had someone send over dresses for both Teresa and Pilar, and they put on their dresses, which I guess is sweet. I don't know. I don't want a man dressing me.
I was about to say, I was like, hey, I think all peoples can do all things. I would not want to dress somebody. I don't think I have, I think I could buy you something nice. I would rather take you to go buy you something nice.
Yeah.
Like, you get to pick. Like, I don't,
even if you pick out something nice, I want to make sure it fits. Yeah. You don't know, because there's certain things that like I'm sure there's a lot of men who would not know that I do not wear spaghetti straps. Like, I just don't, because it makes my shoulders look really wide, and I have like thick bra straps, so they show. I do not wear spaghetti straps. But he bought her a spaghetti strap dress. You know what I mean? And I feel like a man wouldn't think about that, or anybody, not even necessarily a man, but anybody who's not necessarily that close to you. I know there's like 3 people in my life who know that I don't wear spaghetti straps. You know, and so I want to pick out my own. I want to pick out my own thing.
And with all of that said, I thought they looked great. They did.
With all that said,
it was something that I remembered. My mom's, like, when we would watch it together, my mom would always be like, "Oh, she would get excited whenever they had weddings or events, because it was like watching a fashion show or a red carpet. Like, they always looked and Passion had fashions. Like,
Passions have fashions.
It was really like either they had somebody like Tabitha, and Tabitha, even when Tabitha got decked out, it was always fun to watch like what kooky thing they were going to put her in. And even Timmy, I mean, they dress Timmy every once in a while when he goes to the prom and stuff. I mean, like, you know, his John Travolta outfit looking things, but the women, all of the women in the show are gorgeous, and like they always had really pretty colors that matched their personalities. Like, you could tell the costume designer had a lot of fun whenever they got to dress them up.
Yeah.
So just want to chat about that.
Teresa and Pilar dress to the nines. Pilar's very uncomfortable with being a guest at a party at the mansion. Understandably so.
It was so good.
Ethan would not have been able to make me do that. I would have told him, it's New Year's Eve. I'm not going to my job to hang out with my fucking employers. I'm not going to do it.
And I love that they gave us one other, you know, because there's apparently millions of maids and butlers there, but like we got to see one, and they were like, "Hello, Pilar," like, and Pilar's like, "This is weird. Like, I know where I'm going." It was good. I loved that they gave Pilar
that awkwardness.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be weird. It would be so weird. You're the head one, or I know she is a big deal because she's Ivy's personal maid, but
she's Ivy's ladies' maid.
Yes, I know. It felt weird saying that word, but I'm like, she's Ivy's personal attendant. But it would be difficult to be like, you know, giving your stuff to your friend, because I'm more than sure Pilar's friendly with all these people, and like they look up at her, or they really care about her and like her. That would be really hard to do, and I think it does speak to Ethan's like inability to like class down, or like inability to like think about those things, those nuances, those important things that wouldn't come to anybody else if you've never had to deal with any of those things.
It was an interesting scene when they showed up. It was nice that night. They did have some nuance, which is often lacking in this show. So let's go to the mansion. So Ethan, Teresa, and Pilar are coming to the mansion for like a New Year's Eve party. Meanwhile, at the mansion, shit is hitting the fan. Okay. Julian is stomping around. Alistair's pissed. Julian's upset because Alistair's upset. everybody's upset at this revelation that Ethan has chosen Teresa.
Yes.
Right? Well, Julian immediately turns on Ivy. And
And it's
these two
explosive.
go at
It's good.
it.
I love this stuff.
It was amazing because they argue through the house.
Yes.
Which is a thing that really happens when you are arguing with your partner or your spouse. You argue through the house. One person is walking and as you're walking behind them, like, I'm not done talking to you.
Which was I could have watched it. And Rebecca's right. Like, Rebecca's like, ooh, hopefully we'll get round 2. Like, I would be all over watching those fights.
Yes, so
they're good. They're Julian and Ivy, those actors, they're so incredible. I love them. I love them.
They do so well together too. Oh, Ivy's something else. So Julian turns his ire onto Ivy, saying, this is all your fault. You kept him away from me and father. You picked out every single nanny, every school, every single thing to make sure that he was as away from us as much as possible and we had as little influence on him as possible. This is your fault. If it weren't for you, he'd be a true Crane. If I didn't know any better, I wouldn't even think he was my son because he's so different from me.
Yeah.
Ooh, we get a lot of that. And all of those comments, plus other comments and things that very obvious things that Ivy always does when Sam is in the room, those things have led Rebecca to start to put 2 and 2 together. Yes, and not only because she already was on the track that Ivy and Sam were having an affair, and she's kind of wrong about that because they're not having an affair. They were together many, many years ago.
But she had seen the locket, so she's putting 2 and 2. Which I'm like, how did she not deduce that from the beginning? I don't think we delved into that enough. But like a baby picture of your son and a young picture of Sam Bennett, like, how do you not go, oh my God, like what does she like to see them kiss when she closes?
Right. Because what else would these two what would one thing have to do with the other? You know what I mean? Yeah. So she starts to put 2 and 2 together and she says, could it be? And so she's like, I think that Ethan might be Sam Bennett's son. So she's got that in her head and she's listening for different clues in this argument from Ivy. She says when Ivy gets upset, she tends to say too much. She tends to talk too much because Gwen is saying, we should get out of here. This seems very private because Ivy turns to Gwen at one point and is like, yeah, your mom's sleeping with my husband.
Oh, I know. It's, Ivy's done a good job of not bringing Gwen into all of their drama. But in that moment, she was just like, all right, I'm done. Like, this is a mess. And Julian's inebriated. Everybody's like, she's just letting it all out. And it's true. I mean, and Rebecca just sits there like, yeah, I mean,
at one point,
it is what it is.
At one point, Ivy turns to Gwen and says, beyond your mom sleeping with my husband. Oh, she says, yeah, you want to know the truth? I was forced into this marriage by my father and Alistair. I never loved Julian. I still don't love Julian. He never loved me. I was forced into this house of horrors. That's how I got here.
And she says this awesome line where she's like, and I got nothing out of it. And Julian's like, you got me. She goes, oh yes, the booby prize.
Yes.
She says it so well. It's such a great line delivery.
So good. At one point she says to Julian, she says, Darth Vader was a better father than you were, Julian. Because Julian's like, I was such a good father.
Yeah.
And then she says, and look at all you care about is money, wealth, and power, and nobody else. And look at where that's gotten you. Your father thinks that you're completely inept and you have been fully and completely disinherited. I despise you. And your son wants nothing to do with you and doesn't want to be anything like you. Look at your life. Look at your choices.
Yeah.
100%. Like she goes in and I was living.
Well,
living.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And like you said, the running around the house and talking through the rooms and it is just so good to see them. It's because it's all been pent up. It's all been like,
yes, it's finally all coming out. Because at one point, Julian says, I fully intend to take my son back, right? And make him a proper crane. And Ivy says, over my dead body, like nose to nose. Over my dead body. And he goes, that can be arranged.
Yes.
And then she's like, did you hear that? Julian's threatening me.
Yeah.
He's threatening to kill me. Oh my God. It was so good.
All of that's going on. Meanwhile, Alistair stabs the fruitcake a couple times and is telling them to, shut up and all of that stuff. But Gwen and Rebecca are having a great conversation as well, because now it's time to compare notes. And Rebecca's telling Gwen all of the stuff that she's figured out.
It's interesting because before Rebecca tells her, what her thought process is, oops, I hit my microphone. She asks her, she says, would you still want to marry Ethan if he wasn't a crane? And this was a great question.
Yes.
And I love what happened here, because I've been wondering about Gwen.
Yes.
I've been wondering about Gwen. I've been wondering about what is it that she wants, what she really, really, I've said it so many times, because why would you put up with this kind of disrespect?
Yes.
For what? And we find out because Rebecca asks her, would you still want to be with Ethan if he wasn't a crane? And then she explains all the circumstantial evidence.
She needs to know if she's going to go on with a plan, she needs the answer to this question.
And Gwen flounders. She really does. She says, well, I do love him, but I have to think about everything I would lose. The mansion, the lifestyle, everything that comes along with the crane name, the money and the power.
That was huge. That was huge for me to hear out loud, because again, now that I'm rewatching, I remember before this episode, me always being like, you know what? I liked Gwen. I understood where she was angry at times because somebody just comes out of nowhere and usurps it was a done deal. They were going to be married. I love both Gwens. They both give me two different things. But I always was like, man, Teresa just took Ethan away from Gwen, and seeing this makes me go, ooh, she is her mother's daughter. That's in the bottom. The fact that she had to think about it is huge, because I don't remember this conversation.
Well, and I'm going to say this real quick too. Teresa didn't do shit to Gwen. She didn't take Ethan.
No, you're right.
Ethan walked away.
You are right.
Ethan walked away from Gwen. That's what happened. And Gwen, and I kind of glossed over it, but in these episodes, because she has done this a lot, but I do want to say it. Yeah. Gwen talks about how she had always envisioned her life in this mansion with Ethan, and how all of that was snatched away from her by Teresa.
Yes.
Teresa did not do that to you.
And I
Ethan is the person who betrayed you fully and completely.
I agree. And I want to clarify my comments. I don't want to blame Teresa. Teresa fell in love. She put herself in that situation, but she did not take anything away from anybody. She just, Ethan started to notice her, and that's kind of where it comes from. So I don't want to say that, because I am always going to be team Teresa over Gwen. I do like Gwen. I understand where her brain is at, but no one took, these are all choices that Ethan made.
Yeah. Teresa made herself available.
Yeah. And again,
but Ethan didn't have to pick her up.
But they're formidable foes, right? Where Teresa might not do the best thing, Gwen isn't going to do the best thing either. So I'm never going to be I'm never going to be mad at either one of them, because they're going to play fair and they will play dirty. They will do both.
I'm going to always be mad at Gwen. And it starts right now.
Yes, it's huge. This is huge information for me, because I never heard her say money was important until this moment.
Now,
I don't remember it.
We have seen her be very excited about being Mrs. Crane, and she said certain things and alluded to how she's excited to have these things. But this was the first time that the question was posed to her, if Ethan Crane wasn't Ethan Crane, would you still want him would you still want to marry him? And so she flounders and she says she loves him. Rebecca doesn't even wait for the actual answer. We actually never get an answer from Gwen whether she would want to marry him or not, because Rebecca says you can still get, what if I told you there's a way you can get everything you want and Ethan? Which I'm excited to hear your take on the plan. Because I have thoughts and it's a bad plan. It's such a bad plan. A lot of magical things have to align in order for this plan to work. But I just want, before we go into that, I laugh because while Ivy and Julian are fighting, when she's kind of explaining, because we're about to explain the plan, she basically says, I don't think Ethan is a Crane. And so that's the first thing. But she mentions, I think Ethan's father is Sam Bennett. Mm-hmm. And she's like, Sam, that little townie or something? And she's like, Rebecca's like, Sam's the town hottie. Yeah, like, haven't you noticed? He's so hot. Yeah, yeah, and then she says that back in high school, everybody wanted to date him. Y'all didn't go to the same high school though, did you? They didn't. Like, is Rebecca, are Rebecca and Ivy from Harmony? I don't think they are. So they had to go to their own school, and I think it was kind of like, I'm trying to think of like a TV. I think it was kind of like this, this idea where they went to their own private school, and you'll learn about this in Hidden Passions. Okay. But they do go in there. They are on their own school, and Sam goes to a different school. But they all knew who Sam was. I mean, he was Sam Bennett in 2001, and he was Sam Bennett in the 80s. So yeah. That's a fine man. So they allude to the fact that people knew who Sam was, and then she says something like, well, we all knew Sam had a girlfriend, but we didn't know he had like a lover, but we don't know who she is, which that's a lot of small town gossip. Yeah, we all knew he had a secret girlfriend. Whatever, I'm gonna let it pass. Whatever. It's Passions for another day. Yeah, look, because we'll be here forever. Also, I've already went in too hard on too many little details today. I love it. I really went so hard on a couple of little details today because I was so annoyed about the laptop. I'm still so mad about that laptop. Yeah. Because how did it get to? You know what? It's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Again, so to that incredible hand acting while they're fighting, Alistair has a Harmony snow globe. I want one. You need one for the website. A lighthouse. I need a lighthouse Harmony snow globe for the website. Oh my gosh. And he's just like playing. I'm like, to be that rich, to be at your desk playing with toy soldiers, eating fruitcake, shaking a snow globe. Life is good. He's living his second childhood. Playing with antique toys. All right. So Ivy and Julian are having this argument. Gwen and Rebecca are having their separate conversation. Yeah. Let's talk about Rebecca's new plan, okay? So Rebecca tells Gwen there's a way she can have everything and get Ethan. And she says Rebecca herself will marry Julian, and then Julian will become the heir because she's going to let everybody know that Ethan is not a Crane and he will be disinherited. And she knows that there's no other viable Crane heirs. So Julian has to be the heir, which means she will then be like the queen of the castle. Yeah. And she will then she says, men are slaves to sex. So I will use my sex to control Julian, and I will have power over everything, absolutely everything, which means I can persuade him to adopt Ethan and make him a Crane in name again. Yeah. What a dumb plan. Let's start at the beginning of this plan. One, this woman is still married. Yes. That's number one. This woman is still married. And Gwen said something about it. She's like, well, what about daddy? And Rebecca, Lady Julian. Or Jonathan. Rebecca says, well, your daddy and he's a very, very nice man, but I've been looking for a way to leave him for years. It's like, okay.
It's so
Um,
messed up.
fine, whatever. The next part is, do you think this man will thank you for outing this major secret about his son? I feel like if that comes up, well, I guess they could try to keep it hush hush. But
Yeah.
the way she's thinking about doing it is going to be explosive. There's no
Well,
way to
and
keep it secret.
that's
And
the
we
thing
know the
too.
Cranes hate publicity.
Yeah, and I know you know what she does to make things happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it's again, it to me, it's like you're playing this game where you don't know you don't know what the answer is going to be. I mean, like what the real plan is, you tell Julian what you know and then let him do his thing, and you show your loyalty, you show that I'm your number one person, like because he's already basically said like, oh, I wish I wasn't with Ivy because I'd definitely be married to you. Like he's like, he said something like that a few
Yeah, he
episodes
did.
ago where he was like, I rather be, like you get me, like we connect and all this, and the sex stuff. So yeah.
I just think it's kind of silly, personally.
Yeah, well, it is a very far-fetched plan. Because then what step are we on?
You know,
Because
I wouldn't want to, for me, I wouldn't want to cross Ivy. I would be very concerned about crossing Ivy. But you know what? Rebecca thinks of herself as a formidable opponent, and she thinks of
she
herself
does,
as like
yeah.
the smartest person in the room. She is. I did call her female Lady Julian, but she's smarter than Julian is.
She is.
Her schemes tend to work out better.
She can scheme and connive with the best of them, and she is really. Again, I think it's so funny to me to think that Marsha Brady played this role at one point, and now here we are with this version.
Right. Maureen
Yeah,
McCormick. We talked about that when Maureen McCormick was on here, and I told Laura, I was like, she just doesn't have it. Like,
no. And I love her, and I'll always be appreciative of Marsha. However, there's something about Andrea Evans when she raises that eyebrow, or she she could cause some problems for you.
She embodies this role. Like
yes.
she is one of those she's one of those actresses, kind of like the actor that plays Joffrey in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I feel like
to play.
You see him and you can only see that character, right?
When
like,
I think Rebecca, I think of this redheaded woman who can
it
raise
gives you that like visceral reaction.
Yes.
Even it's like I'll see a picture of him on Instagram and it's not him as Joffrey, it's just that actor. And I'm like, ugh, Joffrey. Yes. Same with her. I'm like, ugh, Rebecca.
Yeah. I can still, in my head, I can still replay the amount of times I hear Ivy going, ooh, Rebecca. Ooh, like, we're getting into those moments. But yeah, the Rebecca is, at least here and now, I finally see this is full blown. Rebecca's going to do anything and everything to get Julian. This is just her marrying. How do I get Ethan and Gwen together and I get Julian at the same time?
Yeah. Whatever, because her plan hinges on, and we forgot to say this part. Her plan hinges on Teresa leaving Ethan once she finds out he's not a Crane, because she doesn't know. Teresa already knows that. Yes, Teresa already knows that. Teresa knew it before you did.
And that's the thing that I'm like, look right there, boom, where Gwen had to think about it. Teresa doesn't care if Ethan has money or not.
She wants to tell him so that he won't be a Crane anymore. She doesn't want him to be a Crane.
Let's be poor. Let's be middle class together. I love you. Love is all that matters. That's all she cares about.
I also want to talk about the fact that Ethan would not be poor if he was disinherited. He has a $200,000 education. He is a practicing attorney. He could move anywhere in the world and practice, not the world, but in the US and practice law, okay? And make so much money as an attorney. He has all of those Ivy League connections. He would still make so much. Ethan ain't no scrub, okay? If he's not, you know what I mean? He's not going to be
also known as a buster. Yeah.
Also also known as a buster. Yes. He ain't no scrub. He ain't no buster. No. He He
No.
not hanging out the passenger side of his best friend ride, trying to holler at me. No. Yeah. he has some qualities that will make. He has the potential to make plenty of money.
Yeah, you're right.
Plenty of money.
You're right.
So he could work in any corporate office. I mean, I think he's an idiot, and I think based on merit alone, he wouldn't be able to work there. But based on just like his credentials, he would. Yeah. So that's a whole other ridiculous thing that Teresa, even if Ethan wasn't a crane and all of that happened, they're not going to be living the life of, say, Chad, like in a small apartment above some friend's home. Like, he would still be able to buy a house. I imagine he has assets beyond. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
He surely has a bank account.
Yes.
With money that is his.
That's the thing too. It's just like, why? That's where I'm happy with Teresa. Teresa's like, money or no money, it doesn't matter. What they're making it sound like the minute he is found out to be a Bennett, $0, and that
he's broke, destitute.
Yeah, because Ivy had money too. She is a Winthrop. She has money. Sheridan would never let it. Like, even though Sheridan is not his, aunt, she still is his aunt. Like, that bond would just not go away. You're right. And then plus all those other things, that all of his connections and everything, he's good. He's golden. But that's the way the world of Passions works here.
I do want to talk about the Winthrops, but we should do that on the post show because we've been talking for a little bit. But I do want to talk about that because I had a thought about Ethan's other side of his family that I feel like we should have a conversation about.
Yeah.
But
so that's Rebecca's plan is.
Yes, that once Teresa finds out that Ethan's not a crane, that she'll drop him like a hot potato, and Gwen will be there to pick him up, and then he'll be adopted by Julian, which I don't think. But anyway,
Alistair would never have that. That's the other thing too.
I am still of the mind that Alistair knows all of this already.
I've always been under the assumption that he knew Sam Bennett and Ivy got together. There's nothing.
How could he not?
If he knows that Tabitha, he has inklings that Tabitha has been around way too long, he has to know these other things. Like, he is very much aware of everything.
How could he not?
Because his father and grandfather told him to be careful with Tabitha. I mean, like, he knows all the stuff that's going on at all times. So yeah, you're right. It makes sense to me that he would know, but he just thinks that Ethan is the more competent or the smartest one between Fancy and Fox and all the other ones that we haven't met.
Well, he talks about, actually, I do want to say this one part, because we already talked about how Alistair had a conversation with Julian and Ivy and told them they have to break everybody up, basically break up the Cranes and the Lopez Fitzgerald relationships. And Ivy made a deal with them, whatever. Alistair makes a point at one point and says that because Ivy, this is how Ivy bargains with Alistair, saying you'll lose your heir. And Alistair says, I can't reinstate Alistair. He screwed up too many times. And then he says, none of my other grandchildren are worth a damn. Yeah. And then he says, and I can't leave it to Sheridan, quote, women don't deserve the power. The fuck?
That is so messed up, because he's basically saying Sheridan is totally ready to take over for the Crane Industries. What he's saying is she's a woman and cannot take over for Crane Industries. That is messed up.
It's for the best that she doesn't get wrapped up with these people. It's really for the best.
Because when he said that, I was like, that's so degrading. It's so messed up, because he's basically saying Sheridan is a smart choice. Too bad she's a woman. That is so fucked up.
Yeah. He also just doesn't care about her.
Not at all. Not at all.
And I think it's because she looks so much like Catherine.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things. But that's for 2004. Yeah. We just got to 2001. So going on, Ivy and Rebecca. after Ivy's conversation with Alistair and her conversation with Julian, she's headed back upstairs to her room.
Yeah.
Gwen stops her because her mother has told her to stall Ivy for as long as she can.
Yeah.
Because Rebecca has gone up to Ivy's room to snoop around some more to find some stuff. So Gwen stalls Ivy for as long as she can. She cries, saying, "Oh, my life is over. I just needed somebody to talk to, Ivy." And Ivy tries to comfort her and tells her. Ivy's so nice. She tells her, "You're still a part of this family. I want you to know that, and you are welcome here anytime. We still love you." Blah blah blah. Right? But she says, "But I got to get ready for this party of 5. Party of 5. I got to get ready for this party." So she's heading upstairs. So she does go upstairs.
Nev Campbell's on her way. Jennifer Love Hewitt's on their way. It's gonna be a huge deal.
It's gonna be a big party of 5. And so she goes upstairs and she does catch Rebecca in her room. Not before Rebecca finds Teresa's laptop and sees the file that says Ethan's secrets or whatever. And we go back and forth with this for a while, but eventually she sees the letter that says that Sam is Ethan's
I just want you to know that what I did, and if I need to take a screenshot, I will. But what I did do was now where I have my dissertation and all those important files, it says Ethan's secrets.
What a dumb name, Ethan's secret. And the thumbnail was like, "Stop, a stop sign, do not enter, stop." Like what, girl? Teresa,
don't really? Open this file, whoever is not me.
Wait a minute. And then when Rebecca opened the computer in the first place, it was just all these pictures of Teresa and Ethan.
Yeah, and she's like, "Why does Ivy have these pictures?"
Yeah, it's just all these pictures of Teresa and Ethan.
So dumb, yeah.
Which, okay. But yeah, and Teresa, lest we forget, Teresa has like a bunch of files just named Ethan on her computer. Like, that's a thing that we know about Teresa. She has a bunch of files under Ethan. She has an interesting filing system.
So damn funny. So
basically, Rebecca finds out the proof of the secret, and she comes up with this scheme to go back to the house the next morning with a floppy disk and copy it onto her floppy disk. But we didn't get that far, right? Like she didn't get to the computer, and I don't think she ever gets a chance to do that. But at one point she falls off the roof of this house.
I was like, did I miss an episode? I thought I missed an episode, but this is how time jumpy we got, was that they didn't show us during the fireworks. Well, first of all, because they have their epic party that has nobody there.
5 people. It's a COVID party. It's the time of COVID. That's the kind of New Year's Eve party. Literally, I think the New Year's Eve party that I had last year with my family was 5 of us. Yeah. It absolutely was. It was 5 of us, and we did get all dressed up.
You invited everybody to the Crane Mansion. That's really cool.
To the Crane Mansion to have a New Year's Eve.
It really was host. Ivy, Pilar, Ethan, Teresa, and Julian.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, because Julian makes some snide remark about ordering from the Burger Hut, which I'm like, what an asshole.
He was like, "I wanted to order burgers for you to make you more comfortable, but you're gonna have to make do with caviar and pate."
Yeah, and Gwen's like, "Good one, Julian."
Yeah,
like,
because she's hiding the entire time, lurking in the shadows. This girl is desperate and pathetic.
Yes. She made me laugh because she says, like, how awful is my life, right? Where I went from being in the Crane Mansion to sneaking around it. I was like, you were sneaking around the Bennett house a few episodes ago, so don't sell yourself short. I will say, I have never forgotten these slurs, but it makes me laugh that they called her Little Fajita.
Oh my God.
Because my mom and I remember these things, because we were like, the way they would say it was like they were trying their best to write down any slur, and they were like, no, they had to be as politically correct as possible.
It's almost always food. It's almost always food. Well, enchilada.
The one I remember the most is, she does, I will say, Gwen, I gave her some props for saying Teresita as good as she did, because I was like, hey,
She did say Mija one time too.
Yes, I'm like, hey, look at that, way to go, girl. I was like, I know
but it felt like a hate crime when she said it.
Yes. Oh, it really is. And I'm like, hey, you're coming after my girl, but your Spanish isn't that bad. I have been waiting for, because my mom and I jokingly say it to each other all the time. Like, this is how much we know Passions. We would say tacosita to each other all the time.
Oh my god.
Because we thought it was one of the, I'm like, that's what they could come up with. That's what they're gonna come. And they would say tacosita all the time.
God.
And I'm like, oh God. And it was,
That's so awful.
2001. Way to go, 2001.
On network television in the daytime.
Somebody was like, they're like, yeah, let's get all our aggression out through Rebecca and Gwen.
Seriously. Well, Gwen's lurking around this mansion in the shadows. Ethan makes sure that they have fireworks. He arranges for fireworks for the night.
Pilar's not happy at all. Pilar's out there like, this sucks. Yeah.
Poor Pilar.
I'm uncomfortable. But they give us we go back in time at some point, and Rebecca shows us how she got out of Ivy's bedroom. And she goes out the window, which again, it was, they used the like, let's remember filter that they use, and it confused me. I thought I missed an episode, and no, they were just like, oh, we needed to tell you. So they don't justify anything. They never justify anything, but this they felt was important. To show us that Rebecca fell onto Gwen the way Timmy fell on Tabitha, the exact same shot.
It was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary.
Because Gwen wakes up, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I feel so sore. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, why would she feel sore? Because they didn't show us this thing, and they're trying to justify that.
It was so unnecessary, but they did it anyway.
But I do need a shot of her falling. That was so good. It was so dumb. It was so funny. Like, somebody was like, this is a great idea, let's record this. And they did. It
was so unnecessary. But we need to very quickly go to the next day where Ethan comes over with a bunch of roses the next day. So it's New Year's Day. He goes over to Teresa's house with a whole bunch of roses. And then they talk about the wedding and getting married. And he's like, well, I thought it'd be nice for you if we had a late summer wedding. And Teresa says, late summer is too late. I don't want to push it off too long. And Ethan says, so how about next week or the week after? And she goes, how about today? And he's like, yes, great. He's like, that's a little fast, but let me go find my birth certificate. So then he goes back to his mom because this man is 25 or 26 and doesn't know where his birth certificate is. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You are a grown ass man. Why does your mother have your birth certificate?
Yeah.
So he goes to Ivy to find his birth certificate, and then he gets the papers and he opens them up and he's like, Mother, why did you lie? Mother, why did you lie to me about my birth? And that's where we ended this week.
I can't wait to find out. You told me I was born at 8:00, not 8:15.
Right.
Like, it's going to be some stupid thing like that. I laughed so hard when he brought in all the flowers. It is very nice, but I'm like, they couldn't have given Teresa like an orchid or like a lily or like something that meant something to her. They're like, roses, my favorite. It's like, yeah, everyone gets roses all the time. Like, they couldn't have given her something special.
She's a child. She's a child. She's going to be enamored by anything Ethan gives her.
He could have brought in rocks. Been like,
seriously.
Look, how did you amass this many dead crows and ravens? They're beautiful. Where did they come from?
I brought you an unkindness of ravens. All right, so we got to wrap it up. Remember, everybody, you can always catch me on social media. Catch us on social media at Passions Podcast on all of them, Eric, you want to share anything with the people? I can't remember if you wanted to share your ad or not.
Yeah, please, on anything, I am Mr. Eric Vera. So at Mr. Eric Vera, I'm pretty active on Twitter, and now I'm very active here with you all and this community. I'm so excited to chat with everybody and watch the episodes together because I've been having so much fun hearing everybody chat about it, and it's been great. I've had a blast.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you again for being back with us again this week, Eric. We're going to do the post show after this. Yes?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So we'll catch y'all all on the post show. Remember, you are my passion for